Welcome to Bold Conscious Connections. My name is Raju Panjwani and I'm a certified leadership coach.
And I'm Trisha Ramos, a certified high performance coach. Together, we help business leaders redefine success on their terms to create more space and energy so that they live impactful lives.
Everyone wants to be seen, heard, and understood. So, at a deeper level, we know that the collective consciousness is important to raise in this world, and leaders who are influencers can make that difference. We, in our coaching programs, teach people how to focus on the interconnectedness, heart-centeredness, and growth from within. And this is what this podcast will be about.
So stay tuned and subscribe to wherever you listen to podcasts.
Talk to you very soon. Okay, today's episode is about co-creating your future. It's really about how you're going to take charge of your life in 2021. So we're going to give you a little framework for you to think about. So really think about what it is you want out of 2021, because this is the year. We already passed, almost 4 months of 2021. So
yeah, first quarter.
Done.
It's done.
So number one, the questions we get asked: what am I really good at? What am I really good at?
Yeah, that's such a relevant question to ask oneself today, because as we've seen in the past year and even into the beginning of this year, the current structures, the current paradigms that have been in place for a long time have all begun to shift. And you might be listening to this and either you've experienced transition in your job, or maybe perhaps you've been laid off, or maybe you've already just, left behind something and you want to start something different. So asking yourself, what am I really good at? Like, what is unique to me is so important, because that's really the future of I think, how each one of us is going to be able to contribute is, what is that unique, authentic expression that we're able to bring forth. And I think those of us that are able to tune into that sooner rather than later will probably find more alignment and able to find more harmony in their lives.
So, these questions like, okay, great, that's a great thing, but how do I discover it, right? Well, like everything else, it comes down to, a desire, first of all, to really make a difference. It's a decision somewhere deep down that that you either feel like you could have been further along, or you feel like you want to, you've done what you've done. Obviously, you could have achieved so much, and we've all achieved so many things in life, but then it comes to a point, well, I got that peak done. What's the next one? And what's the next one? That is part of an endemic human nature, and you can't ignore it. You can't deny it. There's also the world that just, seems to have just floated into corporate, let's say, life or whatever else you're used to doing. And then you just feel like, time's come, you went to college, you got your job, did your 30 or 40 years of penance at a job, and then you're done, you're retired. That's okay. There's nothing, we're not judging here. We're just simply thinking that we're talking to high performers and people who are, really ready for more growth, and always there's a next level, and you recognize it. And this world right now has brought us to our knees in ways that, hey, this has never happened in the way it's been happening. So how do you discover it? How do you discover what's unique about you? Well, that takes practice, isn't it?
Yes, and I just want to also speak out to a reality that many of us have spent years, if not decades, in a career that we might have just fallen into, because it was something we were good at. And it was something where we were recognized for it and we were promoted. And, I think
True.
that's fine, except that you do get to a certain point in life where you might be hearing another voice now that's saying, hey, but is that the thing that you want to do forever? Like, what about this? What about your desire for this? And, that was something that I faced a couple of years ago, when I realized that I was staying in a job because I happened to be good at it. And I just kept falling into these promotions. And now, in hindsight, after doing a lot of inner discovery work, because we're coaches, we do that, we take our clients through that. I don't know when it was that it occurred to me, all those years I spent doing that, it was really because I just happened to be good at it, but it wasn't necessarily the thing that I loved or wanted or thought I ought to be doing. So I don't know. Does that resonate?
Oh my God. For me, it was not even, it was, you talk about falling into a career. My career was chosen for me. So for me, I was assumed to have no real deep insight into who I was or what I was supposed to do. And that was okay for those times, for my generation, my previous generation, where, parents guided you and they meant well. And it was not necessarily in accord with what I wanted. And I did fight for it, but not enough to go do what I wanted to do at the time. And listen, this ties to this whole idea of purpose, right? There's always new purposes you will find. There's not this one big purpose, right, that we kind of go after. So yes, it does resonate that, hey, I fell into that career and then I got rewarded and I switched jobs and I got a better job, and we all kind of do that. So as we say in our, and you can go back to why did we become coaches, right? That's a whole other story. But we choose certain things because either something happens to us that threw us into something, or you choose because you realize there is a gap between what you want deep down for you versus where you're at. And that's when the gap and the imbalance starts to highlight itself, and then you want to make a change. And that's the decision point, right? So ultimately, what am I good at? There is a decision point. And if you're feeling this gap, that's the time to really think about it.
The gap can be many things. I like to think of the first insight to what that gap is when you feel that midlife crisis. I think that midlife crisis is the awakening that, wait a second, there is a gap between who I thought I wanted to be and the level of fulfillment that I'm experiencing. That's the midlife crisis. Because then I think you begin to question the world around you. I started questioning my choices, and I had to decide, is this the reality that I want to just live with, or am I willing to actually dream beyond? Am I willing to entertain other possibilities? And so for that to occur, you can imagine there was a lot of letting go that needed to happen. That's why I was working with coaches at the time. So I think that misalignment, eventually you do get to a point where that gap just becomes not anything you can ignore anymore. And then you have to decide, are you just going to go on autopilot, numb yourself, tell yourself whatever you need to tell yourself so that you just are able to justify staying in that place, which, believe me, I did it for years. Yeah. I know you did too. Or do you decide that you're not going to accept that reality?
Right. So that's the second point, right? Do we accept our reality? But, look at Raju, I've got all this thing going, or either it's scarcity or I don't have this anymore, but my past has got me here. What can I change about my environment? Those things are not going to change, and therefore things are only going to get worse. Or look at I'm used to this lifestyle, this kind of car, this kind of house. But on the other hand, if I did something new, oh my God, I'll be like impoverished. Jeez. And forget about growth at that point. I'm just ready to just at least know what I have known forever. Why am I going to create a new reality? Because I'm not sure I like it. I like the safety of what I've already done.
Well, that's it, right? That's how powerful our beliefs are. We really can talk ourselves into something, out of something. It really is, our belief systems are so
Deeply embedded in us.
Deeply embedded. And unless we are willing to challenge that, or unless we are willing to surround ourselves with others who are equipped and skilled and care enough to ask us the real questions, to be able to really draw out of us some of these answers, it's so easy to go through life and just do it day to day, like I said before, on autopilot, and suppress those dreams, suppress the desires, and to justify playing small. Only when that happens, the thing that happens when you justify playing small is that misalignment, that gap that you experience in your between your heart and your mind, that is gonna cause pain somewhere in your body, right? Like first it's an emotional pain, mental pain, you feel exhausted, you're working so hard, but for some reason it doesn't feel like what you do actually matters. And you do that long enough, and then it starts to show up physically and manifest in the way of symptoms in your body. And, for me, I experienced autoimmune issues, which really are just a label for something that we don't know what the cause is. But, knowing what we know about the work that we do with our clients, when there's a misalignment happening, when we feel incongruent about who we're being versus who we believe we can be, when we don't allow ourselves to step into our potential and we stifle our growth, man, we could do a lot of damage to ourselves.
And we've done it as well individually in our own lives. That, when you start to realize that that's the imbalance, and soon you're 70 or 80 years old, like, I should have taken that risk and I didn't. I had that idea when I was 40, but I just didn't pursue it. So the question is, do we want to live a life like that, right? So, and then there's all these fears, of course, these firmly embedded beliefs that, I can't move the needle here, the needle there, because I'm going to have to let go of something. So that brings us to the third point. You mean to say I got to learn stuff all over?
Well, yeah.
I went to college, I did this, I got an MBA, and now I'm managing director in this job, and why am I unfulfilled at this age of my life? 50, 60, 40, 50, whatever it is, right? Now I don't have time to learn. Where am I going to have time to learn new skills? Oh my God. Is that what growth is about?
Well, I think that question, we get that question a lot.
Yeah.
I don't want to start over. And the thing is, if you are going to start a new endeavor, let's say in your mid-40s, in your 50s, it's not like how it was when you started in your 20s. Not at all, because in that time, you've already lived and experienced and amassed a ton of skills, experiences. And if you choose to capitalize on them, you turn that into wisdom. So the learning is different, right? Like someone coming into something at the age of 45 or 50 is coming into it with ideally a broader perspective.
Sure, your learning curve is shorter, hopefully, right? Because you've learned some other things that, you absorb things
You've
quicker.
seen more in life. You've seen
and in
more
your
in
jobs,
life.
you probably have new trainings and new things that come up, right? Innovations happen. Marketing takes you to a different direction. If you're in a particular industry, new products, new services, you got to still learn that. So there's no different
and not
in life.
Not to mention that if you're at that age, guess what? You probably have had your share of all kinds of complex relationships. You've seen your children grow. You've seen your partnerships evolve. You've seen your marriage evolve. I mean, you've just, these are all meaningful moments in our lives that serve to teach us something. So the idea that somebody would automatically disqualify themselves from taking on a new opportunity because they're thinking that it's going to take them 20 years to get to that same space is really, actually, it's such a limiting belief. It's so misleading. It's misled. And, hopefully as you're listening to this, you're able to just really open up your mind to what the possibilities lie for you. I mean, if you're like us, just think of what we went through collectively as a planet last year. The lessons learned in that 1 year, right? In in that time space reality, and then you bring that forward into what's coming, you just really can't. It doesn't quantify the same way.
And listen, I mean, there's things changing all the time. I mean, technology, look how now we adapt, because isn't that a new skill you have to learn to use this and use that device that you carry around with you?
I don't think we can escape technology.
Right. So I'm saying you're always learning new things, but growth is embedded in us. And if you're the type that knows that and just wants to take charge of that growth, that because you're responsible for that, you owe it to yourself to make a decision about what's going to change. Maybe you want to stay in that job that you have, but you're gonna bring so much more gusto to that job that you're gonna change the world in the way you and your business operate or your department operates. That's great too, but it requires still a change. And I know that companies train people to get them to deliver better for their own growth, etc. Just make sure that aligns with your own personal growth, because that is critical part of this change that we're talking about.
And everything involves energy. So you know what it's like to say all the right things, but convey the opposite of what you're saying. Right? And that's because we're energetic beings. And, if you're someone trying to create a new level of success for you, you really have to take a look at what's the level of energy you bring to your day-to-day moment. How are you participating in the opportunities? How are you receiving, the signs and signals for, new levels where you could go? Are you engaged? Are you engaging? A lot of times we look for other people to validate us so that we can feel more confident. And this is something we talk to our clients all the time. You've got to enroll you. You've got to be the leader for you that you want, that you want someone else to embody. So really, how we experience the world is a reflection of who we're showing up as for us within. So it's really... it's so interesting that it's so easy to overlook that where you are in life could be a function of what someone else is doing or what someone else is not doing.
Right.
But we're saying to you, maybe take a look at your energy. Take a look at the level that you've been putting in, the level that you're contributing at. And we're not saying work harder. Like, we're not saying be the do it all. We're absolutely saying, are you someone that is, lighting up the possibilities for others? Meaning, are you showing up so energized and bright that by nature, others are picking up on that, and that contagious energy just drives the productivity level up for everybody involved? Are you someone that when somebody gets around, they instantly feel inspired and they just want to go above and beyond and do more than what they thought was possible? Because if you're looking for that in somebody else to do for you, we're saying you got to learn the skills to do that for you. And then you'll see it reflected back.
Right. So going to question number 4 that we often get asked, well, how do I know I will overcome this tough time? Because everything looks morbid, horrible outside, and oh my God, tough times? Hey, those are guaranteed, right? Hurdles and curveballs being thrown at you in life are guaranteed. Whether you're starting a business, in the business, in a job, trying to figure out life, there is no way around things being thrown at you. So I would say that's a question of your mindset, and you got to toughen up in your mindset. It's easy to say, but it is an opportunity for you to take charge of your life. And the life, as we say in our Indian scriptures anyway, it's an illusion. It's Maya, and you can take that 2 different ways. One is, oh well, if it's all illusion, then what the hell am I doing, and why do I need to do anything? Let me float through life. Or you say, well, it's an illusion. Let me get illuminated with that, right? So if it's an illusion, let me figure out a little bit of what this stage of life is. And instead of suffering, which we believe is a choice, uh, you embrace what it is that you got to go through, and there's no other way except that you own the pain, you own whatever it is that you're going to what you're going to be thrown at in life, and it's the only way to overcome, because oftentimes these hurdles are the path themselves, as we always say to our clients.
Oh yeah, I mean, think about all the life-changing decisions we made because we were at a moment where we felt like our backs were against the wall. We don't make life-changing, life-altering decisions when things are rosy and when things are comfortable. It just we as human beings, we just don't do that. So what we're saying to you is, if you happen to be in a moment, experiencing a moment right now that is feeling like unlike any other.
I'm not sure I understand.
Oh, well.
Oh, Siri has to say something.
Siri has to
I think it misunderstood us seriously as serious.
So if you happen to be experiencing a moment right now in your life where you are wondering if you can get through this, that you've never been through this before, and this just can't go on, we hope that you really take this moment as a blessing, because you're on the brink of a breakthrough. This is a moment for you to react to this moment in the same way you've done before when you've been faced with challenges, or it's an opportunity for you to break past current limitations you've been telling yourself and to be able to rise to a new level of what's possible for you.
And that decision can only be made by you.
Yeah.
It's the only way. And recognizing that, you don't have to make the decision, or you can make the decision to do nothing. And there are consequences to that too, right? In life.
Everything has an outcome of some sort, and it's really just deciding at what level do you want to participate. Do you want to experience life as if it's happening to you, where you're just sitting idly by waiting for luck to come your way, hoping that you won't get any more tough breaks? Do you want to experience life as if it's happening by you, where you feel like you have to do it all yourself, or else it's just not going to be able to happen in the way you want it? Or do you want to experience life as if it's happening through you, right? Where you are part of this intricate, whole, and divinely designed system that you participate in, and you're participating in it as an individual for your own growth, and also participating in it on a macro level for the advancement of everybody else around you. So how do you want to move through life?
So that's the inclusive part of what we always talk about in our conversations with our clients. And then there are many questions that we get asked, but we're just choosing the top 5 related to this subject. Number 5 is, well, how can I take any action if I'm not clear about all of the things I just talked about? I'm not clear about my purpose. I'm not clear about where I'm going. Life is tough. Or how do I reskill myself? All of these things, right? Well, great question. We always suggest you should only act if you're inspired, and you feel inspired to a point from your higher self that, yes, you feel deep down some congruence between your heart and your mind, that whatever this opportunity is, or whatever it is that you're feeling that you want to change, this gap that we talked about in the beginning, and you're starting to recognize the gap, and you want to move towards whatever it is that you feel you're inspired to do, then you should act, and not act from what the society wants you to do, or, like, as we said earlier, our careers were chosen by others. Well, that's, you only realize a little too late in the game that, oh my God, that was not what I wanted. But years have gone by. I can sit there and accept where I am and not change anything, or decide to make the change.
And really, what I love about acting only if you're inspired is the idea that as opportunities come our way, every time we have an opportunity to choose between one path versus another, or perhaps another or another, right? Like it would be great if we're living our lives with multiple choices ahead of us, in front of us all the time. And the truth is we do have multiple choices at
We
all
always
times.
do. Yeah.
We're just used to seeing things in a binary way. But what we're saying here is choose the path that you would choose if you are already that person that you wish to one day become. Meaning, if someone offers you an opportunity or there's a choice you've got to make and you make it solely from where you are today, well, then guess what? You'll just keep generating the same outcome that looks just like where you are today. Because for you to be able to cause some sort of a breakthrough or start the wheel towards transformation, that time begins now. So making a decision, taking a leap of faith, requires that you act as if you're already that person that you one day hope to become. So that's why we're saying take the inspired action. Don't take the action that is based in lack or scarcity, or don't jump on an opportunity because you feel like you're deprived of something. Do something because you know that by taking that leap, it's going to amount up to something that you've never experienced before, because you've never acted in that way before.
And we love routines, right? We want the sameness of whatever we like to do, which is habitual. And part of it is that if you want to make a shift, you may have to re-examine some of those habits which are typically unconscious. So in terms of living that life that you want to live, you want to just make at least one change then in whatever routine that doesn't feel the same, because the only way to cause that change to occur is to start living into that new part of you that you want to change. So obviously we're going to eliminate some of the negatives that we don't like, but it's harder because we're so used to those things. Listen, habits die hard for that reason. But the more aware you are of where you're not serving yourself, the more likely that change is going to be initially difficult, messy in the middle, but wonderful at the end, right? So you got to really own that end that you have in mind that's going to be different from how you've been living. So often related to this, we get asked, well, what's my one big purpose? Look, Tiger Woods is a golfer. He was 3 years old or 5 years old. Listen, there's no such thing, okay? We all don't know what Tiger Woods does in his, when no one's watching. It's all the grind of what that passion is, right? So there is not that one thing. Our passions and our purposes change from time to time. You can have multiple purposes in life, but it's just that whatever you pursue, you got to find the purpose in it. That's just what the experience is. You can't look at the one in a million that someone, they had that big purpose that they lived for. Frankly, that's an illusion too.
Then you'll miss the point, right? Like the purpose is, for me, when I'm hanging out with my niece and my nephew who are 8 years old and 5 going on 6, I only have one purpose.
Yeah.
It's to play.
It's to play.
It's to play. It's to be playful. It's to be present with them, and to also to allow my inner child to come out and play.
Absolutely.
So, when I'm serving my clients with you, I got one purpose. It's to be an excellent coach in that moment, in that conversation. Yep. So there is no such thing, as one big purpose. It's really what's the level of engagement and participation moment to moment in the present that you're committed to. And depending on who you're spending time with and what that thing is that you're doing, or maybe it's who you're being, that's the purpose in that moment.
Yeah. And listen, you can waste time, make excuses all your life. Like, haven't find my purpose. I was just, walking with nature, maybe looking for purpose. Listen, you can walk in nature.
The purpose is to walk in nature.
Walk in nature for sure. But, looking for that purpose, meditating on a purpose, those are all fine practices to do. However, it's not going to come from somewhere else. It's just it's going to be a decision you make that, hey, while this may be a rough road, or it's a new skill or a new whatever we just talked about, that you may have to go through, because growth is on the other side of that struggle, so to speak. Well, then that's what it is. It's just fun to struggle. It's fun to learn something. It's fun to be on that journey. What do we say? The destination may give you purpose, but it's the journey that you got to enjoy. There's no other way around this. It gives you purpose, but you may find different roads to get to that destination. That's the purpose itself too. Enjoyment of that journey is amazing. And that's what we'd say. So take the action which inspires you, and then just move, and don't worry about all the hurdles that are coming your way.
And guess what? Once you start moving and taking action, clarity eventually comes, because momentum continues to give you clarity. You'll figure out, is this the right path? Is this the path I want to be on? Yeah, keep going. Wait, no, this doesn't feel good. Well, then pivot when you have to. But clarity doesn't come from just staying exactly where you are. It doesn't come from, being stagnant or just being stuck. So take that action, gain some momentum, and then you'll experience some clarity.
Awesome. Well, we continue to pursue these, and these are the kinds of things that we actually work with our clients on, as you just heard a few times. Until our next episode, see you soon.
Take care. We hope you enjoyed today's episode, and if so, make sure to subscribe, download, and share it with your sphere of influence.
We bring a variety of topics to you, and it's like a masterclass for those topics, and it's all free.
So take a screenshot, share it on your social media, and add the hashtag #BoldConsciousConnections so that we can find you, see you, maybe say hello.
And if you want to deep dive into some of the topics that we bring to you, find us at www.livemasterminds.com and get to know us.
Take care.